You write out for me? I'm supposed to do the second, so hopefully you got it right.
Oh, okay.
Can you write me some notes?
No.
Just point to me when I have to do it.
Yes. I bought a house there.
You did?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It has the worst view of any house in Oakland. You know where the Gibbs gas station is, right on Route 1?
Yeah.
We're right behind it.
Oh, cool.
So like half a mile from the beach.
Still right there, though.
Yeah. Easy walk to the beach, easy walk to town.
Yeah. Oh, good.
So, yeah, it was one of these weird things that it came on the market while we were out of town. We were in California, and it sold before we could get back and even see it.
Okay.
And then the deal fell through.
Oh, wow.
And it came up on the market, and my wife was looking at real estate. I was sick as a dog. I could barely lift my head.
Yeah.
But we drove up to Maine. She drove all the way there and back with me lying in the car like this. And we just did one look at it and went, yeah, this is right.
Oh, cool. That's great. That's awesome.
This comes
We're going up for a couple weeks, a week and a half after the 4th.
Yeah, we're actually going up there tomorrow. We booked a vacation hotel starting tomorrow for a week.
Okay.
So we're going up tomorrow morning and staying in a hotel.
You guys stayed there 2 days?
Yeah. And our house is, the prior owners had rented it for the season.
Yeah.
So it's weekly rental, so couldn't stay there anyway.
Yeah. Oh, good.
That's great. Looking forward to it after the summer tenants move out.
Yeah, my parents are sorry looking for help.
Yeah. And we've been, because we have one daughter in DC and one daughter here in Connecticut, we've looked basically every place from Virginia to Maine for some place along the coast.
Yeah.
And we keep going back there.
Yeah, you can't beat it.
Yeah.
Call the 7:30 Town Council meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
The United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, Ms. LeBron.
Mr. Barnes.
Present.
Ms. Cantor.
Here.
Ms. Casperson.
In attendance.
Mr. Davidoff.
Here.
Mr. Dodge.
In attendance.
Ms. Hall.
Here.
Ms. Kerrigan's absent. Mr. Winograd.
Here.
And Mr. Williams.
Present.
Shaking it up. Okay, number 4, Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move approval of the minutes of the Town Council meeting of 6/13/2017, as well as the minutes of the public hearing resolution authorizing submission of the Neighborhood Assistance Grant application of 6/13/2017.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Number 5 is the section called the public forum, and this is to address items on the town council agenda. Those items we will act upon at tonight's meeting to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to be heard. The council you can talk for 3 minutes. You need to say your name and address. I don't know if anybody is here to speak on anything on the agenda. You may want to speak. I don't know if it's on the agenda, but that's fine. Come on up, Dan. It's not on the agenda, but you can, it's happening, so you can come up and speak to it. Oh, it is? Okay, go ahead. Oh, there you go. Well, you come up to this mic and state your name and address, and you're referring to that.
My name is Dan Hart, 29 Foxcroft Road. I'm here to speak on agenda item number 8, adopting a vision statement and guiding principles for the Central Business District zoning district.
Sorry, I thought you were speaking about something else.
I am.
Go ahead.
It's actually, that's in a guise. Because over the years, I've known Ron Van Winkle for 22 years. Just 22? Only, it seems longer. Only 22 years, and we've had a lot of conversations seamlessly about the state of West Hartford Center, the state of the neighborhoods, the state of the value of my house, which you know a lot about, and a lot of other things economic, seamlessly between my role as a homeowner in West Hartford and my role as an economics writer for a certain publication, which I do not now represent. And I just want to say, I want to add my voice to the deafening chorus in accolade of Ron Van Winkle, but with a slightly different angle here, as someone who's talked with him more about economics than town business, albeit seamlessly, and a lot of it about the center. And since I'm speaking on that agenda item, I do think that the center is becoming a food court and that that's got to end. And there's a way to do it, which I've talked with Ron about. And there I've spoken on the agenda item, but mainly that's really in the guise of just saying that I really do want to say Ron has been greater at explaining things from an economic angle even than people here understand. And I know that people understand it very well, patiently, and again, seamlessly between my role as a homeowner, outraged over this or that, including the dog park, which I never got to speak about, thankfully. And the building of rental units, the conversion of certain institutions to rental units, everything having to do with the economics of the town, the region, the state, and the nation. Ron has been able to explain from the standpoint of what's good for West Hartford. And I am only thankful now that he's going back to being a full-time working economist where I'll be able to call him at home and have these conversations. You are staying, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. And with that, I really did. I just did want to say that, and I know it's been said by many people, but I think this is Is this your last council meeting? Mm-hmm. Good. Then let me speak up on your last council meeting and congratulate you as both a homeowner and an economics writer who only plays an economist on TV. It's really been amazing talking with you. And Ron, again, has been able to explain things to the betterment of West Hartford way more even than most people realize, more than I realize. And some of the things he said may have gotten him fired over the years, but it didn't happen. It's been, it's okay. But really, just tremendous. And I look forward to continuing to talk with him about the economy in retirement.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you, Dan. That was, and you're absolutely right. He is an expert, and it has been an incredible wealth of knowledge. But more later on that. So, anybody else that would like to speak that's in the audience? Okay. Number 6, Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would move that we place items 20 through 22 on the consent calendar.
Okay.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. We go on to no unfinished business, so we're number 8, Mr. Davidoff.
I move the adoption of a resolution adopting a vision statement and guiding principles for the Central Business Zoning District, BC, for West Hartford Center.
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Van Winkle.
Yes, I'd like to call Mr. McGovern up here. He worked on this. This is a process that's been going on for a while, working with center neighborhoods and property owners. So, Mark McGovern, our Director of Community Development.
Good evening, Mark McGovern. This is a culmination of our outreach process that started at end of 2016. The council asked us to work with the working group, establish a working group of neighbors and property owners in the center to look at a variety of issues in our zoning code that would impact development in the center. And I think it was a very successful process. We had a couple of different public forums that were attended very well. We had over 700 responses to a survey. We did a presentation to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and we made use of some professional planning help from Fitzgerald Halliday, which was very, very useful to us. The end result was the adoption by the working group of this vision statement and the guiding principles that the council and staff can use going forward in order to spur the most appropriate development in the BC zone. So this would memorialize that and be a tool for us to use with those interested in investing in the center.
Thank you. We not only has the town staff been, you talked and communicated, the working group has also reviewed this. We, as committee members, also reviewed this last week at a committee meeting. And it was, I found it very informative and helpful to understand how the working group went about and the plans, the comparative data. And I don't know if anybody else wants to add. Okay. Mrs. Hall has a question.
Thank you. And I meant to ask this at community planning, and somehow it slipped by me. And it was a great presentation. My question was just, will we be incorporating this into our plan of conservation and development? I worry we've got too many like odd documents floating around, and as opposed to incorporating this and the pedestrian bicycle walkway document. Is it all in one that we will be reviewing?
This gives us a great head start in the preparation of the update to the Plan of Conservation and Development, which expires in 2019. So we're probably 6 to 8 months off from beginning the process of updating that. And so all along, we felt that this would be a way in which we could get people involved in the process. We talked to lots of people at the forum who liked the opportunity to come in, and we told them to stay tuned because there'll be other opportunities in the future to be involved in the POCD update. So most certainly we'll be using this as a stepping stone to the POCD. Thank
you.
Sure.
Thank you. Anybody? Mr. Benegret? I was hoping I caught it.
And that was pretty close to my nickname in high school, so I kind of did a flashback there. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just wanted to thank the Mark and the committee for some really great work. It doesn't show on the resolution, but the amount of public participation we had in this was really great, not only from the community, the local community, neighborhood people who participated, but hundreds of survey results. We had some great charts showing really great level of participation from lots of different demographics in town. So it was really a nice job, and I think, like I said, a great head start on a plan. I think that everybody has a really strong opinion about every part of the center, including the ice cream. People have noticed there's been almost as many comments, I think, on Facebook as responded to this survey. They might have beaten you. So it is a huge area of interest for everybody, and again, I want to thank people for this good start on it, and support the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Winograd. Anybody else has comments? I just also want to thank, it's been a lot of time by staff and by our citizens to involved in this whole project. And I know that there has been, I think there was a lot of understanding of different perspectives throughout the process. I know we know also we're not going to please everybody, that we have to do what's in best interest of the community as a whole. Some people, you know, we saw results that some people did not want the center to change at all. By not changing, it probably will change. So we're going to have to make some changes. So as time goes on, we're actually going to be asking for more input. It'll be a continuation of the process, but I think we have a very good floor and understanding of some of the critical elements. And one of the things that really struck me that I took away was the importance of light and making sure that we have that exposure and how important that is when we are considering any changes in structures and design. So thank you. Yes, Mr. McGovern.
Just like to add, for those people who are interested, all of the presentations that were made and the reports that were a result of this process are on the planning's website. Planning Division has a special page related to this initiative, and all the documents are there for people to review.
Thank you for that. I was going to ask, actually, if that was part of the accessible to the general public. Terrific. All right. So we don't have to take a roll call. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much, Mr. McGovern. Number 9, Mr. Van Winkle.
Yes, thank you. During the budget.
I'm sorry, let me read it first before you go ahead.
Yep.
Number 9, Mr. Davidoff, and then Mr. Van Winkle.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the adoption of a resolution to amend the budget of the fiscal year 2017-2018 Community Development Block Grant Fund based upon award notification from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Second.
Mr. Van Winkle, thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Mayor. During the budget process, we adopted what we believe to be the CDBG appropriation we were to receive from HUD. We got a letter a little over a week ago that indicated that we were getting $5,161 more. So the purpose of this resolution is to appropriate that additional $5,161 into public facility improvements. You know, we use CDBG money for a lot of accessibility kinds of projects to make sure that our parks and our play fields and all our facilities are fully accessible. We also assist people who meet income guidelines with certain home improvements. So it's been a valuable program, and we've used these dollars for many decades to improve West Hartford. So it's great to see it continue in here.
I'm a little surprised about the increase, and
Yes.
I'm really pleased to see it continue, and it does do an amazing amount of good throughout our community. So all those in favor? Oh, aye. Any questions, first of all? It's a little off my game. All those in favor? Aye. Yeah, I have a lot in my head that I'm thinking of.
Okay.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Number 10, Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move adoption of a resolution to close capital projects and transfer any unexpended balances to the capital reserve account of the capital and non-recurring expenditure fund.
Mr. Benegrad. All right, Mr. Van Winkle.
We do this from time to time. You appropriate monies from the capital budget that are usually bond funds, and those projects get completed and have some residual monies left in them. And so we close these projects out and transfer them to what we call CNRE, Capital Non-Recurring, which is a fund that allows you to reappropriate these monies into future projects. So it's an accounting piece that we're really looking at tonight, nothing other than that.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Number 11, Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move adoption of a resolution to appropriate grant funds of $46,500 awarded to the town of West Hartford under the Federal Highway Safety Program for the purposes of distracted driving, high visibility enforcement.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. No, Mr. Van Winkle.
I have a police chief here. Ask him to step up to the podium so he can describe this.
Good evening, everybody. Tracy Gove, Chief of Police in our town, West Hartford. Thank you for inviting me up here. So, number 11. You know, we have a series of resolutions coming up we can discuss, but you know, the police department's been very active in seeking out grant funding opportunities throughout the years. Captain Jeff Rose, who I think you all know in our traffic division, has done a phenomenal job looking for these grants, applying for these grants. We're awarded them because of the activity that our officers produce. So when we have a grant for example, distracted driving, cell phone use, we're out there aggressively enforcing those. He has come close to $1 million now in grants over the past 5 years. He's done a tremendous job. This just adds to that. So this grant here is for distracted driving. It's basically cell phone usage, just not paying attention to the road when somebody's driving.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions or comments? All right, I just would like to say thank you to Captain Rose for his dedication and commitment, and over $1 million has really made a difference to our community. Probably saved some lives in the process. So, okay, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Number 12, Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move adoption of a resolution to appropriate $21,000 in the fiscal year 2017-2018 budget of the Drug Enforcement Fund.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Van Winkle, I think the chief is going to answer this. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
so this
thank you.
account, when we have drug asset forfeiture, so if we take money from somebody who's involved in a criminal enterprise of drug dealing, we are oftentimes awarded that money. It goes into an account that we can use for basically police equipment training, any pursuits dedicated to drug enforcement activity. So what we typically do is we have a drug unit. We put this money kind of aside, and if they have to do any drug investigations that involve overtime, overnight, long hours, then that money, instead of coming from our operating budget, comes from this drug fund overtime. So we set aside the $21,000. Doesn't mean we use $21,000 every year, but we just reappropriate it every year. Whatever we don't spend goes back into the fund.
Wonderful. Okay. Any comments, questions? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Number 13, Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move adoption of a resolution to appropriate $112,800 in grant funds awarded by the Connecticut Department of Transportation's Highway Safety Office under the Federal Highway Safety Program for the purpose of comprehensive DUI enforcement.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. I think the chief is up here.
Yeah,
Answer the
I'm
rest
still
of
here,
it.
yeah.
Okay.
So this is for our DUI enforcement program, as you know. Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, and special holidays, for example, the 4th of July weekend coming up, we put out a DUI patrol during late night hours, of course, for the purpose of seeking out those DUI, those people driving under the influence, making sure that they are stopped and put into the criminal justice system. Really, the main goal there is to change behaviors and save lives. This program has been very successful. In fact, what we've seen, if in Public Safety Committee sees the numbers on a pretty regular basis, over the years, actually, our DUI arrest numbers have gone down because, I believe, of our enforcement and our presence in West Hartford Center, Park Road, the kind of place we have the night activity, and New Britain Ave, Elmwood area, where there's late night activity. We put officers out there, and it seems to have curbed that, just our presence. So this is this goes to that. So we don't take money from operating budget. We have a specific fund for the overtime for that.
Thank you, Chief. If there's no questions, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Number 14, Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move adoption of a resolution to appropriate $7,900 in grant funds awarded under the Department of Transportation's Click It or Ticket campaign.
Second.
Chief.
Click It or Ticket is wear your seatbelt, it saves lives. We've seen the commercials for these. Again, just an aggressive enforcement campaign where we look for motor vehicle violations, for seatbelt violations, but again, we find typically when we're doing that, other violations, cell phone use, other things we can ticket for as well. So it kind of covers a spectrum, but the main goal is the seatbelt enforcement.
Thank you. If there's no questions or comments, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Number 15, Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move adoption of a resolution to appropriate Federal Highway Safety Program grant funds of $29,967 awarded by the Connecticut Department of Transportation's Highway Safety Office for the purpose of underage drinking education and enforcement.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Chief, if you can explain this one.
Sure. So this program is used for several things. One is for any type of underage drinking activity going on in our more popular nighttime areas. We look for, or we conduct enforcement checks there. But not only for that, but what people may not understand is we also do programs, run programs at the schools where we buy equipment. We purchased equipment with this over the years. We purchased the go-kart, the drunk goggles, cones, to give students kind of the perspective of what it's like to drive when you're under the influence. We've conducted programs on the weekends at the schools, a lot of the private schools as well, just about the dangers of drinking and driving. There's a third one that slipped my mind right now, but you get the sense is just to make sure that we educate students on the dangers of underage drinking.
Thank you. When I saw the education and enforcement, that's such an important component is for young people to understand how risky it is to
Sure.
get behind a wheel. All right. If there's no further questions, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. And thank you so much for your help and input on that. This is killing me. All right. Number 16, we're gonna do a little after we have reports for the town manager. So be nice to Ron, everybody. It's his last day. Yes, town manager at a council meeting. Any questions for Mr. Van Winkle?
Well, I have some.
We're
have a
not.
report.
Yes. Oh, first the report.
First of all, I want to say that had to be a record, what the chief just did, all those grants, how hard we work at that. You know, we were just noticed by FEMA that the fire department got a grant for $551,194. That was to replace all of our current self-contained breathing apparatus that our firefighters use. So it allows for that training, and so we'll be back here. The new town manager will be back here to appropriate that money once we receive the final notification. Weekly recycling begins July 1st. So next week, you'll be able to not figure out, is this my week for recycling or not my week for recycling? You'll be able to pull it out to the curb, and we will pick up recycling every garbage day for every home in West Hartford. Cornerstone Aquatic Center is under new management. Health Fitness will manage the operations at Cornerstone Aquatic Center beginning July 1st. We're very excited about our new operator. He's going to bring a robust aquatics and a new wellness programs to Cornerstone. We'd like you to go to www.cornerstoneaquatics.org and fill out a membership and give us information that we need so we can update our membership database out there. But starting July 1st, we're going to have a new operator there. July 4th next week, the holiday means trash is delayed. Monday is on Monday, Tuesday is July 4th, so the Tuesday collection's delayed, and then each collection is delayed, and the Friday collection on Saturday next week. We have also delayed the collection of car taxes. For all you good residents who are so diligent about paying it, you haven't received a car tax bill. We are waiting to see whether the legislature will make some adjustment in the car tax legislation. They seem to say they are going to do that, but we decided to wait. We may wait until September before we set those out, but we'll see where the legislature goes with that. That's really all I have this evening. If you have a question, I can get back to you next week with an answer.
Nice. All right. Does anyone have a question for Ron? All right, Mr. Bart.
Am I allowed to have a question tonight? All right. Well, it is your last meeting, and so I need to ask you about the status of the state budget. The state budget year concludes this week. There's a lot of talk about doing an interim budget, trying to raise revenue to fund the state, and potential cuts to, among other things, municipal revenue. So I was just wondering if you'd heard anything or have any insight to share with us about what's going on at the state level and how it may impact us.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Barnes. This is a funny time for me to leave as town manager because we are really in a moment of chaos with budgets. We really don't know whether the budget we adopted will be the budget we're going to live with next year. And so we're waiting for the legislature to approve their budget, so we will know whether we receive the grants for education in particular or not. Yesterday, the governor has been saying for a while that you should, to the legislature, please adopt a budget. You don't want me to manage this budget on my own through executive acts. And yesterday he put out two budgets. One was a short-term budget to go for 90 days, and the other was a proposed how he would respond if they did not adopt a budget. That budget that he proposed cut West Hartford $15 million. So you would be back here if that were to pass in that form, or those decisions were made in that form. We'd be back here talking about how we were going to adjust our budget to fit with that large financial loss that we would have. It's not something that we could just say, let's make a couple adjustments and we'll be fine. That's a big number for us. So it appears as though the legislature won't get to a budget by Friday, and they can come back into special session anytime they want to adopt a budget, but they really have some conflicts, some disagreements over where they're going. So I suspect it'll maybe some time before you'll get a final budget out of the legislature. Now, not state grants, ECS, which is our largest grant that we get from the state of Connecticut, it's about $21 million. First payment comes in September. So they make those 4 payments during the year. And so we'll get $4+ million on September 3rd if they pass the budget. So there's not an immediate impact on us. We'll be fine in July and we'll be fine in August. In September, we'll have to make a decision about our car taxes, and we'll have to figure out what we're going to do about if the state adopts or doesn't adopt. So we're in limbo. We're uncertain. is my experience, 30 years with this town, that we've never been in this position to have such a large unknown before us. And it's certainly still possible that we'll be fine, but it seems more than likely we're going to be back talking about how do we deal with this change.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. And we are not alone in this. I mean, everybody is in the same boat, and we've had lots of discussions with other municipalities about how they're handling it. So, any other questions for the town manager? Okay. All right, announcements. I just wanted to share that, so we're so lucky to have such incredible residents in our community. And one of them actually is the Sherpa that, and can you say her name? I can't either. I know, I don't want to mispronounce it. But there will be much more. She's actually doing a program at the library, but this is the top of Mount Everest. She actually hung a West Hartford Library sign on the top of Mount Everest, and this was her 8th climb and the most ever summited by a woman Sherpa. So, Rakwa? Lakpa, but that's her first name, not Lakpa Sherpa. Okay, thank you, Dan, for that. Okay, thank you so much. But she's an amazing woman, and I have heard her speak, and she's it's just remarkable. This is announcements rather than the beginning of the meeting because many of us went to the funeral and the wake, but we lost a member of our family, our West Hartford family, David Gabriel. I know everybody in this room is aware of that. And knows Dave and knew Dave and is feeling his loss and his warm smile. But I was really taken by and I know Ron and I talked about this after the wake, the line was 4 hours long and not nonstop. People came constantly, and it was really actually touched his brother who does not live in town, who grew up in town but does not live in town now. And he talked about that at the funeral and how amazing it was and how many lives Dave touched. And 2 things I really wanted. The first was actually the obituary started with "A good man left the earth today," and that is exactly what happened. He was a really good soul. 41 years with our DPW department. His love of West Hartford was infectious, and his love of Elmwood was really extraordinary. He had an amazing smile, and everybody referred to it. It went from one ear to the other. And he was a big guy. It was a big smile. They asked, in lieu of flowers, to commit a random act of kindness in Dave's name. So I ask everyone to continue to do that. And you can start with an act of kindness by donating blood for the 3rd annual blood drive. And this is in honor of Seamus Turco, who has had lymphoblastic lymphoma and was diagnosed in December of 2014. And and Helen is an amazing woman, and the Rubino Turkers are an amazing family, and they said, how can we make life better for people around us? So their family started this blood drive, and it is the 3rd annual, and it is Wednesday, July 5th, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And parking will be validated on it. It will be right here in the auditorium, and you can enter the code TURCO or call 1-800-RED-CROSS, 1-800-733-2767 to make an appointment, or visit redcrossblood.org. And there is a strong need after any vacation time, so please make sure that you, if you are around and can do this, and you're physically able, please make sure you do. And now on to normal announcements. So the blood drive, actually, we just reviewed. Complete Works of William Shakespeare is now through July 30th, playing at the Playhouse on Park, and the box office number 860-523-5900. The tickets range in age from 30 to 40, and senior student discounts as well. Capital Classics, so this is definitely the month of Shakespeare. Capital Classics presents Shakespeare Loves Labor's Lost, July 13 through 30. They will be playing at the University of St. Joseph's. Performances are held on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. and Sundays at 5:30 p.m. Tickets are $15 for adults, $10 for seniors and students, and they are available at the door or at the Francis Driscoll box office. Numbers 860-231-5555 or www.usj.edu/arts. Yoga on Lasalle Road, Saturday, July 22nd, 8 to 9:15. Bring your yoga mat. Join hundreds of other yoga enthusiasts for a free 75-minute outdoor yoga class. And again, 8 to 9:15. All class levels, led by West Hartford Yoga Studio, will take over a full city block. It's the largest yoga event in the greater Hartford area. The rain date is August 12, 2017. First Church 2017 Outdoor Carillon Concert Series. Was that Caroline? Concert Series. Is that right? It looks like an I was there. Thursdays in July, 6 to 7 p.m. Bring a chair or blanket on the lawn of the First Church of Christ Congregational, 12 South Main Street, and enjoy a free concert from our bell tower. Caroline concerts are held at 6 p.m. on every Thursday in July. That's all I had. Is there anybody else that has any other announcements? No? Okay. Number 18 is reports from the Corporation Council.
I have no formal report, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Allaire? No? Okay, thank you. Appointments. We have two, Mr. Davidoff. Do you want to?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move we appoint Matt Skelly as an alternate member to Design Review Advisory Committee for a term ending 12/31/2020, and appoint Eric Halpern to Pension Board for a term ending 12/31/2022.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Number 23, Mr. Davidoff.
I move adoption of the consent calendar.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Number 24, Mr. Davidoff. We are doing 25 because we haven't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 24, I move that we receive a notice of the town planner's intention to approve pursuant to section 177-44C 9BE, a request on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Gospiner House Condominiums for revisions to the approved Special Development District Plan, Special Development District Number 13, located at 795 Prospect Avenue. The request is for the elimination of accessory structure and minor adjustments to exterior hardscape and landscape elements, all related to a FEMA Special Flood Hazard Area Amendment application.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Number 25, we didn't formally do it last time.
I move that we receive from Kelly Clark, 6/13/2017, resigning from the Library Board.
Motion's been made and seconded. Yes, Ms. Hall.
I just wanted to thank Kelly very much for her service on the library board. This was her specialty, and she really put a lot of her talents into it, and I wish her the best of luck as she joins her husband in Washington, D.C., working for the president. So very excited for their family. Thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Hall. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Number 26, Mr. Yoder.
I move we receive from Aaron Frankel, 6/12/2017, resigning as Town Council zoning alternate.
Motion's been made and seconded. Thank you to Aaron. He actually moved out of town. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Number 27, Mr. Bates.
I move that we receive from Joanna Curry-Sartori, 6/12/2017, resigning from the Substance Abuse Prevention Commission.
Motion's made second, and I also want to thank Joanna Curry-Sartori. This is a very important board, increasingly important, actually. I want to thank her for her service. All of those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. We have no petitions. We don't have an executive session, but we do have to make a motion to suspend the rules to issue a proclamation and make some comments. So first, we'll do the proclamation.
I move we suspend the rules, Madam Mayor.
Motion's made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay. I don't have to, it's not an audience person, so. All right, I just want to, we have a few things to go through, but we're going to start with a proclamation because it frames the discussion. And this is for Mr. Van Winkle on his final meeting with us as town manager, and Friday will be his final day with the town. Whereas Ronald Van Winkle, town manager, a native son, is retiring on June 30th, 2017, after 30 years of outstanding service with the town of West Hartford. I'm going to cry. This is terrible. And whereas Ronald Van Winkle is a highly regarded, oh my gosh, economist and thought of, right, as Dan Har said, and thought of as one of Connecticut's most knowledgeable, effective, and skilled town managers. And whereas under Ronald Van Winkle's leadership, the town of West Hartford has been awarded numerous national and local awards. West Hartford has been ranked one of the best places to live by Money Magazine. Movoto Real Estate blog ranked West Hartford in the top 10 locales in New England. Family Circle magazine named West Hartford one of the America's best towns for families. Travelandleisure.com online magazine said West Hartford is one of the coolest suburbs worth a visit. And whereas Ronald Van Winkle has been one of the guiding hands in changing the face and landscape of West Hartford, his legacy as West Hartford town manager includes his integral involvement in the development of Blueback Square, the Veterans Memorial, and Bristow Middle School. And whereas integrity, transparency, fairness, and commitment are but a few of the qualities that make Ronald Van Winkle the highly respected town manager and individual that he is, these qualities also serve to inspire all of those who work under his leadership and those who work with him. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that on behalf of the Town Council and the residents of West Hartford, I, Mayor Sherry G. Cantor, extend our best wishes. So you're blushing. And sincere appreciation to Ronald Van Winkle for his dedication, commitment, and exemplary service to the town of West Hartford, and wish him good health and much happiness during his retirement and in all his future endeavors. It didn't say humble. He's very humble and embarrassed by it. All the other stuff, but I know you really, okay, we're gonna lighten it up right now because we're going to straight to a poem that was mailed to me, and I have like 5 copies because everybody kept handing me copies and said, make sure you read the poem. This is by Jim Strelacci for Ronald Van Winkle upon his retirement. His name is Van Winkle, a name that I think'll be some bit of trouble to rhyme. So please excuse me, don't curse or abuse me if I call him Ron most of the time. He's tall and he's dashing with gunfighter's mustache, and his hair, what there is still blonde. Bright eyes behind spectacles, not to get technical, you don't need a sketch to be drawn. He entered town service 3 decades ago, a returning West Hartford son. Though few of us knew what economists do, he soon showed us how it is done. His town was a suburb, quiet and safe, but the sidewalks were rolled up at night. With brains and tenacity, some might say audacity, Ron set out to put it aright. Restaurants galore with their tables on sidewalks, diners from everywhere drawn. Who could have thought it so? Who could have made it so? Smart money says it was Ron. Promoted town manager 2008 when the nation's economy crashed. His consolidation of town and school jobs ensured we had adequate cash. He guided us calmly, boldly, and wisely through financial or snow-laden storm. steadfastly maintaining community standards, not to mention those AAA bonds. With patience and humor, not patience the person, but patience and humor, Ron could always explain and issue a problem a choice. He provided direction and offered advice in a calm and mellifluous voice. We hope you enjoy your retirement with Ruth. You've earned years of happiness, Ron, but the town of West Hartford, if I tell you the truth, we will miss you the moment you're gone. So, isn't that great? So you're getting a copy of that. And I actually am going to start, because I have a little summary of a couple things. We asked the staff, patients actually, sent out a little notice to the staff and said, in a word or two, what's your, could you just do, so I'm just going to really briefly go through, and they all, we had a couple that are away, that, so they can give you their mind for, no. This is, I think it's important for people to understand what the people that report to Ron think of him and his moving on. This is from Martha Church, Director of Library Services. It's extremely hard to choose the most significant aspect of Ron's leadership as town manager, but for me, it is his talent for teaching. And again, this is what Dan had mentioned too. From sharing his passion for poetry to explaining the intricacies of municipal and state government to making sense of voluminous amounts of data, Ron takes care to be sure that others understand all aspects of a given problem. This enables his staff to recognize how all departments, town departments, work in concert for the benefit of residents. As both the manager of a town department and as a resident of West Hartford, I couldn't be more grateful. Joe Dakers, it has been my extreme pleasure working with Ron Van Winkle on property assessment-related matters over the years. His passion for doing what was right for West Hartford, has always made the responsibilities of my job to the town of West Hartford professionally satisfying. Chief Gove, who's in the audience, very funny. While I won't open my remarks with a poem, as Ron did at our monthly management meetings, I will endeavor to start my remarks about Ron's leadership with a quote from a famous poet in Ron's honor. Ralph Waldo Emerson, famous essayist, lecturer, and poet, once said, "Our chief want is someone who will inspire us to be what we know we could be." Ron has been a steady leader who has empowered his directors with the freedom to run their departments while holding them to high standards and while giving them the resources and guidance to solve big issues. Most importantly, he understands his employees' needs for a work-life balance and truly appreciates that family comes first. Very important. Rick Ledwith. Ron Van Winkle is a dynamic, innovative leader whose many qualities, characteristics, and traits can be summarized in one word: vision. Every decision made during Ron's tenure was not only what was best for our community today, but what would also be best for our community tomorrow. From Mark McGovern, who's also in the audience, Ron is a thoughtful leader. He considered all sides of an issue in order to reach the best outcome. This is Jared Morin. Ron is the consummate team player whom always focuses on the big picture. He consistently develops solutions that adroitly balance demands with priorities to help move the town forward. Robert Palmer. I've greatly appreciated Ron's in-depth knowledge and guidance regarding a large variety of subjects and issues that make the town run well. It has allowed me to learn and grow under his leadership. He always does what is best for West Hartford. John Phillips. Ron has been an astute leader for Department of Public Works, supporting and providing the right resources at the right times. Ron has a high level of intuitiveness for the changes that happen within Public Works. His gut feeling has helped move Public Works forward to deal with tomorrow's challenges. His maturity and his ability to recognize more can be accomplished by empowering others than can be by ruling others. Ron has the strongest sense of empathy I have ever been able to learn from. His empathy has created a fundamental trust between Public Works and senior town management. I enjoy his charisma, and that's a capital C. For me personally, he will always be larger than life, trusting in me with the opportunity to lead the best Public Works department in the state. Peter Privatera. Ron's positive attitude, honesty, and deep commitment to the town are some of the many qualities that have made him a successful town manager. I count myself as very fortunate to have worked with him. And Helen Rubino-Turco, who is also in the audience. I hold Ron in the highest regard. Ron does not micromanage. He trusts us as professionals to lead our departments, but he's always ready to challenge, nudge, support, and encourage us to do our best work. So that's just a sampling of, I'm sure if we also went down to other levels of people that you worked with, you would hear it the same. I know you hate this, but you know what? You got to hear it. We got to do this before we give you some goofy things. I will say, I have Google Alerts on my phone for things that happen in West Hartford and members of the council and all this. And I have Ron Van Winkle as a Google Alert on my phone. And every time, almost every day, something, not every day, every couple days, couple times a week, Ron, things come up. And I'm like, geez, I don't know about this. And it's Ron Van Winkle. But it starts off by saying, Vanilla Ice throws ultimate house party in Melbourne Beach. Did you know that Vanilla Ice is named Rob Van Winkle, but it always comes up on my phone as Ron Van Winkle. So I now have been following Rob Van Winkle, Vanilla Ice, for years, and he's quite a guy. So amazing, really good rapper, and yeah, and a real party animal, but he's all over. So anyway, that's kind of funny. So if you want to know more about Vanilla Ice, I have a lot of information. It's been a long goodbye. You know, we've all known that Ron had sort of had this on his calendar, and then the announcement in October. It was actually the first week of November, their formal announcement, we all had a chance to say goodbye, benefiting with the benefit at WACTV and the town that was the party at the benefiting the town that cares and WACTV at the end of May, and lots of people stopped by, people from your past, and say goodbye and thank you for your 30 years of service to the town, your service for the state prior to that, and for your eight years as town manager. You are so fond of West Hartford. You are proud of your community, and you are the biggest cheerleader. You and Dave Gabriel, I think, are probably the biggest cheerleaders that I've ever seen for West Hartford. This is your hometown, so you care intimately about all the decisions that you make, personalizing them, but also being able to step away and do the difficult things to right the ship at times that have been very, very difficult. Stepping in 2008, when things were really, really difficult, and now where you've said things are even actually more difficult with the unpredictability and the instability that we're facing. But I mean, Ron is, as everybody has said, and you heard from the directors, he is a good man. He's an honorable man, respectful, loyal, and hardworking. He is smart and has a great sense of humor, and is the first one to laugh at himself, which is really a wonderful gift that you bring in such humanity, and you're so humble. You're a true gentleman, and you've earned the respect of everybody that you've touched. He is a family man. He adores his wife, Ruth, and I just want to give a shout out to Ruth and thank her for the many, many late nights and weekends that you gave Ron to us. You've made a difference to the town, too, and we really very much are great. We're very grateful for your support in Ron through all these years. Now that the strict calendar's over, you can make all your plans and travel and do everything that you want to do. It's not an easy job. I understand more now when we actually shared a wall over the past 8 months or so, that how demanding the job is, and how there is very little time to sit in your office to sort of reflect, that it really should be a revolving door in that in that doorway. And it's constant. It's town staff. It's us. It's residents, most importantly. And you always treat everybody with respect and give them the time that they deserve. So the lines form. Sometimes you have to take a ticket and wait, and you're like, I'm next. But you've been able to manage and show everybody that they're important. And we really value that. The town manager is a complex job, and when we had the opportunity to sort of reevaluate, and Ron had a lot of input into going out when we were looking for a new town manager, and we started listing all the things that, all the skills and the strengths that we were looking for in a town manager, it's incredibly extensive. And you know better than most that this is really, really challenging and pulls on so many different skill sets. The town manager oversees all the departments that you heard from the directors, including the fire department and although not maybe directly the health department, but the health department as well. thorough knowledge of functions, operations, municipal government, comprehensive knowledge of federal, state, local laws, ordinances, codes, regulatory standards, thorough knowledge of municipal financial administration and management, including budgeting, pension fund management, debt management, comprehensive knowledge and skill and application of management theory and techniques, extensive knowledge of principles of personnel management, employee relations, union environment, including negotiations, contract administration, grievance management, work knowledge of computer technology, operations and capabilities, knowledge and skill and ability to carry out emergency management operations, the knowledge of and commitment to high standards of ethical conduct in the operation of town government, familiarity with general principles of civil and criminal law as they relate to municipal operations, ability to maintain knowledge of current trends and developments affecting the practice of local government and management, and this is all ability to initiate, organize, follow through on municipal programs and projects, apply principles of public administration to define problems, collect data, draw valid conclusions, scientific and innovative thinking to a wide range of intellectual, practical problems, build a constructive team in which members are committed to organizational goals and objectives, develop consensus among diverse opinions, prepare a variety of forms, documents, including schedules, budget proposals, expenditures, revenues reports, express ideas, policies, programs in concise and effective manner to the council, staff, public media, orally and in written form, establish and maintain effective working relationships with subordinates, elected and appointed members of governmental bodies, school officials, members of business community, professional, technical, administrative, support staff in constructive and supportive manner, ability to responsively address requests from citizens, business community, and legislators, and work collaboratively within, and actually it's even more than that, but this is a highly visible administrative position, and consequent demand and pressures of the office include interaction with public media exposure, and it is an incredible job. And you have done it with grace and expertise and with passion, and again, in an honorable way. We've been so lucky to have you for all the years that we've had. And I will always remember what you say to me many days when things are looking a little tough. And you say, I'm going to cry again. Do you know how lucky you are to be mayor of one of the best communities in the country? So, thank you, Ron. Thank you. All right. Who would like to go next? Okay, Ms. Hall.
Thank you, Sherry. That was a wonderful list of all the things that we expect from Ron. And maybe to give a good example, I first met Ron about, well, it was in 2001, so about 16 years ago, when we had this group of veterans, and most of them were, World War II vets, so they didn't know anything about a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet. They were no longer in the workforce, so they weren't in a position to be out there really fundraising, and still in that group of people that knew how to touch the power people. But they had a passion. And you were able to take this group and listen to all of their ideas and all of their wants and all of their desires to honor our veterans. And you coaxed them, you steered them, out of some of the really crazy ideas. You just did a wonderful job working with people, and I think that's one of the biggest skills of this job, of everything that he's got to do, but also sit back and listen and think and suggest. And so everybody thought it was our idea. And I really know who was responsible, and you are responsible for changing really the nature of our center. Everybody loves coming to the center. I hope people also take the time to sit back and reflect. And oftentimes, I will go by and you see someone sitting there. And just this past weekend, I had a text from the former mayor who was involved with us, who was sitting there and reflecting. And it's a special place. So I just want to say thank you. I want to also say that when I ran, it was nice to know that you were here and that it was easy for me to step into this role. And I just want to thank you for making me a better counselor.
Thank you, Mrs. Hall. Ms. Casperson.
Yes. Okay. Ron Van Winkle, on this night of celebration for all that you've accomplished in the town of West Hartford, I would like to thank you, Ruth, and your family for sharing you with us all these years. The time and dedication you've devoted to this town, the directors, the chiefs, and the staff of West Hartford has helped to shape who we are today. You've taken on projects from Blueback Square to the planning and development of what is now the destination of West Hartford. You made the role of being a new town councilor manageable because you've shared your knowledge, wisdom, history, and vision with us, always leaving your door open to answer our questions and concerns. I know I've joked that your mind is like an amazing computer of knowledge, and it is, but it does not begin to describe all the gifts and talents that you have shared with our community. The long hours during zoning, public hearings, and weather emergencies that you've been a constant voice of calm. We appreciate that. Now it is time for you to enjoy more family time, poetry, history, and downtime. And I just wanted to let you know that downtime, from Webster's Dictionary, is the time for you to enjoy more family. It's a time during which production is stopped, especially during setup for an operation or when making repairs. So you might not know what that looks like, so I thought I'd share that with you. And then the definition of fun. I know that you'll figure that one out too. Because as an economist and an excellent time manager, I know that you can achieve your version of both in your retirement. And I wish you and your family a blessed, happy, and healthy next chapter. Thank you, Ron.
Very nice, Judy. Mr. Dodge?
Thank you. Ron, I've probably known you in fact, I know I've known you for the shortest period of time, having just been appointed last year. But over the last year, I'm happy to be able to consider you a colleague, not just a colleague, but also a friend. I'll be brief. I think that you are the model of what a town manager should be. And when we had the opportunity to hire somebody else, my first thought was, I want another Ron Van Winkle. I think that your reputation preceded you. I have been incredibly impressed by in particular, your temperament and your professionalism, but also something that Mr. Har alluded to and others have, which is your ability to simplify complex ideas in a way that it doesn't feel like you're dumbing it down, but you're making it more understandable. And it's just so important because there's so much to digest as an elected official, and your ability to do that has been critical to my ability to function as a town councilor, and I'm sure for others. So again, Ron, it's only been a year, but I've been so incredibly impressed, and I wish you all the best in your retirement, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Mr. Dodge. Mr. Barnes?
Thank you. We're almost there, Ron. Working our way around the table. And I, too, want to thank you for your service to the town, but also for your guidance and wisdom that you've shared with me over my 4 years as a counselor, kind of helping me, do my job and find my way. And there's clearly a theme to the comments, particularly Mr. Dodge's comments about, temperament and professionalism, because there have been one or two times when we may have disagreed on an issue or two, and after the meeting or the next day when I would call or come to your office, you always had a smile, a handshake, great points, compliments, whatever it was, and still maintaining your position. It was never dodging my phone calls or locking your office door. So you were always a true professional and someone that I've tremendously enjoyed working with over the last 4 years. I wish you the best in retirement.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm a little close to you when I'm saying. I know, not to be awkward. All right. Well, I've enjoyed sitting next to you. How about that? Everyone's talked about you as the professional, and you are the consummate professional. But the thing, and I won't speak to that because everyone else has so eloquently, but the thing that has always struck me is I think someone's character really comes across in those moments when there's no TV and there's not a large group of people. And you sort of observe kindness and who that person may be. And I said this some months ago, but it really has always struck me. Whenever we've had a student in our committee meetings or a visitor or someone from the public, you're always the first person, when no one else is watching, to grab a chair, make sure they have a seat. You stay after the meeting has concluded to see if that person has a question. You go above and beyond, and it speaks to your character. And I'm really going to miss you. I've really enjoyed getting to know you. You've always been so kind to me and my family, and so has Elvis. So anyways, I wish you the best, and I will, and I know we all will miss you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Winograd?
Thank you. Ron, I actually, it was interesting with Dan's statement. First heard about you through newspaper articles. I'd read about this economist who was commenting on pretty much everything. I agreed sometimes, I disagreed, kind of felt that a certain newspaper only had a very small Rolodex that had like one column. Any time you wanted to ask an economist, there you were. And it almost became sort of a joke of, just myself. Oh, I'm reading an article, I wonder what that Von Winkle guy must think about it, because I know he's going to be quoted. And so that's kind of how I, knew about you. And what I didn't realize until I got to work with you was all the other attributes that people have talked about. But it started with that respect, a little jealousy, but respect for that knowledge of economics. And that sort of has become a little more popular thing for economics, and sort of other people talking about it in human terms. And I think the way you've been able to describe it and talk about things has really been, sort of inspirational and educational to everybody. And so I think it's always a good choice to get that quote. But again, working with you and hearing these comments, trying to come up with, there's a word for somebody like you, and it that takes into account the intellect, but also the compassion, the education, the qualities, just that my colleagues have said before me. And the word is mensch, and you really are. I'll be brief. So that's a great word, to just be brief. That's the perfect description, and I really appreciate serving with you and knowing you, and we'll continue to be friends, I hope, because it's really been something to experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Winograd. Mr. David, now you can't use mensch again.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Van Winkle, you know that I don't like to say what other people have already said, so we won't go there. But in 2001 is when I first met you, and I was involved as a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I had a lot of interaction with the planning department, the town planner, and people down in community planning to really understand what the development of our town was going to be, and that progressed further to Blueback Square, where we sat for 50-something hours and heard this proposal, and you were very integral in bringing that forward. And all the development we've seen over the last decade has been a result of your efforts, and the fact that when we've had many dialogues and you say, people want to be in West Hartford, and that's true, and it's because the way that West Hartford operates, the people that you have hired to work for you understand that there's a West Hartford way of doing business, and there's this expectation of excellence, and you've instilled that in people, and it's been quite evident in all our zoning applications and all the proposals. And remember, one of the conversations you said is, boy, if we had more land in West Hartford, we would have more success. And I thoroughly agree, because people are competing to get here, and that's the economics of the situation. I'll never forget the day that Mayor Slifka called me up and said, just want to let you know we hired a new town manager, and I was minority leader at the time. I said, well, who would that be? And he said, Ron Van Winkle. I said, did he accept? Of course he accepted. I said, excellent decision. And so I was there at your first meeting, and I'm glad that I'm here for your last meeting. Mayor Cantor and I have served with you for your entire tenure as town manager, and every meeting you conduct yourself as the ultimate professional. As been said, you set the standard for what a town manager should be. And after serving on the town manager search committee, what was very evident and which was restated often was you have the best town manager, and that's what I have to strive to be as your next town manager. So I'm glad that the bar is really high, that you've set it that high, because for our community's sake, we're very well served. And I often say that the most important people live within the four walls of one's home. And you and I have had a lot of discussion about family life and how important that is to me. And we share a lot of family anecdotes. And what a lot of people don't know is that you're able to balance family and work, and you understand the significance of being there for your family, because if you don't have your family and you don't support your family and you don't enjoy your family life, then the rest of this is just a bunch of nonsense. So I'm really glad that you have your priorities straight, and what's really important going forward, as we discussed yesterday when I called you to see if you were coming to work on your last Monday, and you definitely said, yeah, I'm here, that you enjoy your retirement, that you take advantage of all the opportunities that life still has in front of you, and that you are blessed with good health. And as I often say, as I've said the last 10 years, West Hartford's future, the days are bright ahead of it. And for you, sir, I see days that are bright and shiny, and just wish you all the best from the bottom of my heart, from my family to yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davidoff. Mr. Lair. No, you can't talk yet, Ron.
Mr. Van Winkle.
Mr. Eller.
First of all, yeah, it's a little weird. I join with the mayor in perhaps getting a bit verklempt here. Of everybody at the table, I have known you the longest. Of everybody in the room, I've known you the longest. And West Hartford is blessed to have a professional staff of incredibly bright and talented people, and you're certainly at the top of that list. But of all of the people I've worked with in the town, you're the one I've enjoyed working with the most. So I'm not going to quote a poem, and I'm not going to quote Shakespeare. We've had a night of Shakespeare. I'm going to quote Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, who, when she said goodbye to the Scarecrow, said, "You're the one I'll miss the most."
Thank you. Thanks.
Now I'm overclipped again. All right, so we have, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm gonna let Ron talk before we. Mr. Van Winkle.
Thank you. I'm retiring.
Yeah.
Been with the town for 30 years, never expected to stay more than 5. It's certainly one of the great experiences of my life. And Ruth and I are not going far. I will retire. I'm really old, and so I've turned 70 in April, and I'm going to look forward to being a resident of West Hartford and watch this town excel as it goes forward. I've been blessed to work with a team of people that are really talented. My direct reports do a fabulous job for this town, and they will continue to do so. Whether you're in public safety or public works or parks and rec, community development, each of those directors do so much for this town, and they work together. I talked to them today about how a lot of organizations end up having silos in them, they call them, where this is my job, this is my stuff, and that's your stuff. Well, we don't do that at all. Doesn't even come. It's a team. Somebody has an issue. the team is right there to kind of figure out, how do I handle this, what do I do? And we spend a lot of time on that. So I've been blessed with a team, and although I am town manager and the one retiring tonight, the leadership of this community from the administrative side is about a team of people that lead us. I've been lucky to work with this guy over here. Of all the people that I've worked with all these years, this is my most trusted advisor, somebody who we disagreed and argued, and I think we enjoyed the arguments and the give and take. But it always, Pat Allaire was somebody I always felt like if I couldn't figure out what to do, wasn't sure whether it was architecture or law, he would be able to chime in and provide advice. So Pat Allaire was just a huge boon to me from the beginning. Of course, the town council, we've gone through a number of mayors over the years. A number of council members have come and gone. I've been blessed to have a council that works hard for this town. You're there to disagree, you're there to debate and to have differences of opinions, and you've always been cordial to each other. And so I'm really blessed to be able to have those conversations that Mr. Williams and I might sit and talk about some issue. Just kind of chew through all the angles and the pieces, and why can't we do this, and how do we get there? And each of you, we've done those sorts of things. It's unusual for me to leave at a moment where there's so much uncertainty in the future of this town, and so many issues that need to get wrapped up, but I'm not sure whether in a year they will be wrapped up. So it is a difficult time to leave. I want to speak to the veterans, and one of the things that I counted most important, one of the most important things I have done is that Veterans Memorial. I was touched by the men and women that I worked with, the vets that were there to build that. I was touched by the concept that we finally went from, just a statue of someone with a gun or just a wall of something to something that said so much more, that had a whole story about it, that you could walk. And just yesterday I viewed the video that we did about walking the timeline. Bob, do you remember Bob's last name? Yes. Yeah. No, but anyway, he had his amazing voice, and he did such a wonderful job, and I was moved at that moment, looking back at what we did. That is really special. That will be there for the next 100, 500 years, and hopefully we don't add to that wall, but that was one of the great moments. I mean, Blueback Square was interesting, fun, challenging, professional kinds of things, but to work with that group that had served their nation, that had seen their colleagues die for their nation, and that work with them to build something that I think they were all so very proud of in the end. That was really special. You made me town manager and Lehman Brothers goes under, and we went into the worst financial crisis in Thorpe since the Great Depression, and that was an incredible battle. That somehow we were able to keep the ship of West Hartford straight and make it work. I think you always need to remember what you said, that people want to be in West Hartford. We can kick ourselves a lot of times and talk about all the problems and all the issues we have, and oh my goodness, and no one can park in West Hartford Center anymore, and nobody can do. People love this community, and they continue to come. Our housing prices are strong, that people keep looking to come to our school system, to live in our community. We are blessed in a state that's in tough financial shape, in a capital city that is in tough financial shape. We'll run this year with a $2.6 million surplus, which when the governor's budgets came out and stuff, we just sort of stopped spending wherever we could to make sure that we ended up with a strong surplus. So we're in good financial shape. We're a AAA rated town. We're a community people want to live in. And it's not about the town manager. It's about the town manager and the team. It's about the town manager and the team and the town council. It's about the town manager, the team, the town council, and the community. Because it's people in this community that, in truth, really trust us to be the leaders that you are for this community. And they really are great supportive of all the things that we do. And, you know, every day somebody calls with something they don't like in this community, but that helps us grow and understand. I've always been lucky to have a great relationship with the Fourth Estate out here, the press. I was in the newspaper back in the 80s and 90s constantly, but I always had a great relationship with them. I don't know, it was my wisdom, but certainly my lips sort of made sense to them, whether I was on TV and had that 8-word soundbite that they could put on, or in the press trying to tear apart some issue, or just the local press that writes about our community, and my door's always been open to them. I mean, the Fourth Estate is really important to democracy, to the success of our community, and we're lucky to have so many people who keep their eye on us, whether it's the Hartford paper or the local papers or even TV news are always interested in what we're doing. We are the best community in Connecticut. We are one of the great communities in the nation, and you are lucky to be the mayor of this community, and you're lucky to be on this town council to lead this community, to take it to a better place. Now, we have challenging times. The property tax system sucks. It's broken. It needs to get fixed in some way. We need to change that, and we've been talking about that for years, and we seem to just sort of dig ourselves deeper. So it takes a statewide effort to change that, but West Hartford will continue to be successful. It is not an inexpensive community in which to live. This is not the community you move to think you're not going to pay a tax bill that will make you wonder why you live in this community. And so when you think about why you live in this community, we got to make sure that we do those things that make this a great place to live in. The quality of our schools, the safety of our community, the cleanliness. That's what makes West Hartford this great community. And because we work so hard at that, people sort of accept those higher taxes that go with this community and continue to come here. You can move to Barkhamsted and pay substantially lower taxes, and still drive into West Hartford Center and have dinner. But people come here because they want to be part of this community, come here because of the leadership of this community. So I thank you for all your kind words, and I thank my staff for the kind words and the poetry, and you know, it is a funny time. It's no question about that. And it's going to be a funny thing for me to just sort of sit and read WeHa and learn what's going on in Town Hall rather than being in Town Hall, hearing all the stories right here. But I am going to enjoy that. I'm going to enjoy slowing down. I'm going to enjoy spending the time with Ruth, traveling, seeing my sons more often than I do now. So thank you for the opportunity to be your town manager. Thank you.
Thank you. You are a global man, and we know you're going to slow down, but you know we always give you the chair.
Yeah.
But we added a little something to the chair. I don't know if you saw it. It's a rocking chair.
Yes, that's what I need.
So it reads, Ronald F. Van Winkle, not Vanilla Ice, Town Manager, 9/14/2008 to 6/30/2017, Community Services Director, 7/1/1987 to 9/14/2008. So this is, you know, the standard gift, but we got you some accessories to go with it. It's a little card you can read later. Okay. All right, we got you a little blanket.
Sure, shopping.
And no Webster blanket, yeah. And got your little blanket, no Webster blanket. Yeah, it's coming. A couple slippers. A little, you gotta look at this though. I'm taking this out because it's really something. It's a personalized bathroom. Some wonderful books of poetry.
Oh, excellent.
My favorite. There's,
Langston Hughes.
yeah. You may have those already. And then everybody has seen this before, but my magical pen where you can do this all the time now. You can just tell everybody. Do you want to do this one? Okay. So you will be all equipped when you get home from your worldly travels to just relax. Oh, sweet. All right, so we still have an agenda. We just make a motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.